Hello. Welcome to Life Coaching Access, your daily access with professional certified life coaches brought to you by Life Coach Philippines. Life Coach Philippines is our community of professional certified life coaches certified by the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs, a bona fide institute for mental health that is based in Dallas, Texas, USA. Life Coaching Access is our service to the community, and we aim to help individuals experience the process of transformation through the platform of life coaching. If you want to know more about our international coaching classes and services, please connect with Coach Rizal through 0917 586 1661 for assistance. By the way, I am Coach Tony for En Route to Forgiveness, the New Beginning series. Your access with me is every Sunday at 2 p.m. And for my segment today, I will be sharing with you episode 13. When was the last time you allowed yourself to begin again? Please tag your friends in the comment section below and invite them to join our conversation. You may also share this FB Live to your timeline and groups and pages so that we can reach more people and help transform lives. All right, beautiful people. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. And for those who have not yet seen me yet, and or this is the first time you've seen me, then I'd like to say hi. I'm Coach Tony, and I specialize and I coach millennials and younger people, and I'm also a career coach. Now, as a life coach, I don't give advice, and I'm also not a guru. And if you want to contact me, if you want to have my contact details, here you are. You can contact me through email at coach.tony.espiritu@gmail.com, or you can contact me via Facebook at www.facebook.com/coach.tony.espiritu, or you can message me directly at Tony Tonality if you can just search it on Facebook. Or if you want to contact me directly via mobile phone, then you can contact me at 0906 2467 333. Now, for this entire month of January, because this is the last day of January, January 31, as of the time of this recording, we've been talking about the New Beginning series. Now, the New Beginning series consists of 5 episodes. For the first Sunday, we discussed when was the last time you did something for the very first time. The week after that, we discussed when was the last time you let your shadow rest. The third week was when was the last time you said goodbye to standing still. And last week, we discussed when was the last time you did what makes your heart sing. And for today's episode, we will be discussing, since this is the last day of the month of January, tomorrow will be February, I decided to discuss with everyone here when was the last time you allowed yourself to begin again? So, when was the last time you allowed yourself to begin again? Since this is the very this is the last episode of the month, we may have had plans, we may have had opportunities, we may have had different goals that we want to have for this month. There are some coaches here who are doing the Vision Board Challenge, or we had some New Year's resolutions that we wanted to have. But if we don't complete those, or if we don't accomplish them, can we forgive ourselves to try again? For something more serious, if we harmed someone, can we ask for their forgiveness? Can we ask a second chance for them, with that person? I see I'm joined by fellow coaches, and I'm joined by Coach Glacy, Master Coach Hasmin, Coach Tin, and Coach Ed. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am also seeing Vitoy Kunanan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Be fast. I have some questions, and if you want to answer, please answer them in the comment section below. Or if you are a team replay, then you can use the hashtag replay. And yeah, just answer the questions as I'm about to answer, or you can just answer them yourself internally. How often are we given second chances? How often do we receive second chances in life by a person that we've hurt, by goals that we never achieved, by not making it into the university that we wanted to, but eventually we are given the chance to study there, by a company that you wanted to work for but couldn't, or didn't get in the first time, but you finally did. How do we decide to ask for forgiveness and second chances? How do we decide to ask ourselves for this? How do we ask others to ask us to forgive ourselves? How do we, I guess, beg sometimes? Do we beg sometimes? Or is it more asking? When are we allowed to begin again? When the chips are down, when we fail, when we never achieved our goals, and we brought our heart into something, or we brought our heart towards a person and it fails, whether we got rejected, or we failed, or we never could move forward. When when do we allow ourselves to begin again? When are we okay to share this? When can we begin again? We have to learn how to try again. We have to find ways to say that I'm worthy of a second chance. Second chances allows us to move forward with our lives, to give clarity to goals that may not necessarily be good, or may need for recalibration or realignment. We must learn to try again. We have to. Otherwise, it's not otherwise we become so distraught, so much anger or so much doubt within ourselves that we are afraid to try again. And so we have to move forward with what we need to do. And I hope that everything that I can share with you today can help you find that second chance again. Find that second chance to be a good friend, a good husband, a good wife, a good boyfriend or girlfriend, or try again to become the best version of yourselves. Trying again allows us to fail forward. Whether you succeed or fail, failure is an option. What I mean by that is failure necessitates us to learn different things. To fail forward means to get yourself back up again, to try again and learn from your mistakes. Because it's not the end of the world. There's always a second chance or second road to move forward to. Second chances also helps us face dignity in the face of failure. To say that, yeah, I failed and I can move on. I can move on. I can stand up for myself. I can go. I can live life to the fullest. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I shouldn't give up, because if I give up here, then the progress that I made was for nothing, for naught. You have to face failure in that consumed by this. You are great, whether easy or difficult, it's only for you to say. But once you accept that this shouldn't hold me back, or this thing that's keeping you together, or keeping you strained, or keeping you shackled, shouldn't be shackled, because they shouldn't have control over you. It's also helps getting second chances also helps us get closure after the sentence that's placed on ourselves. In those instances where we fail, where we couldn't move forward, where life throws us a curveball and we place ourselves in in a place where we don't feel like we deserve. We feel like it's best if we just go to a corner and just not move forward from here. How how can we do that to ourselves? Or sometimes we ask ourselves, why do we do this to ourselves? Why is it that we are placing ourselves here? We don't see that there's no end to this. There's like an endless cycle of rinse and repetition. It helps us get closure. Second chances, rather, it helps us get closure to where we need to go. Because once we try again, then we learn from our mistakes. Ah, hello, Claire. Thank you for joining me today. And Coach Nilo, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. At the end of the day, though, the very first step and the very first person is you. If you look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to ask yourself, what have you learned from all of your experiences, all of your mistakes, all everything that you try to accomplish, or everything that you've done so far for these past 31 days of the new year of 2021, so to speak? What have you learned from the successes that you've had? What worked? The failures that you, um, the failures that you had for yourself. Have you learned? Were there any valuable lessons from it? Do you forgive yourself when we commit mistakes? When we blame ourselves for everything, we tend to blame we tend to blame others. We tend to blame everything else that's out of our control. But sometimes, in the root cause of it all, there's a little inkling that we blame ourselves for everything that we did wrong, that everything that caused harm to another person or to ourselves. And do we have the heart to forgive ourselves? If the answer is yes, then can you forgive yourself? Because doing is one thing, but the willingness to do so, is it half-assed if you forgive yourself when you feel like you couldn't forgive yourself? You have to find that willingness to forgive yourself. Because doing it is easy. You just say sorry to you just do it, stare directly in the mirror and just say, I'm sorry for myself. But if there's no heart to it, then it's as good as an empty promise. Forgiveness is a promise to yourself that everything will be okay and you can become a better version than what you previously weren't able to. Forgiveness is a promise to yourself. And you have to be willing to forgive yourself. Over the course of these episodes, the overall theme is en route to forgiveness. And I think that this topic encapsulates it entirely. Can you forgive yourself for failing or not doing the thing that you need to do, or failing, or for being unable to reach your goal? Find that willingness to forgive yourself, my friend. Because none of us are perfect. Because ultimately, it's up for you to decide. Again, with looking at yourself in the mirror, If you can get a mirror right now or get your phone camera and just look at yourself, stare directly at yourself, tell yourself that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the wrongs that I've committed. I'm sorry for hurting the ones I cared about, and I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry that I'm not the best version of myself now. I'm sorry that I'm not the best that I am or the best that I could have been, but I will try to become better. I will try to learn things every day because I am the captain of my own ship and I decide on when to move forward because it is up to me or it is up to you that you can move forward. You can be a self starter to become your own person, your own being. It's up to you. It's up to us to find that step forward, to move to the direction that we want to be, to where to go, where 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 life throws at us. Sure, it may be out of our control, but we can steer the ship somewhere, and we need people for that. More so than ourselves, we need people for that. We need the help of others. Even for someone as prideful, we need we need we eventually will need others because yes, we can do things on our own, but there can still be blind spots. There can still be spots within ourselves that can't help us push forward. And it's okay if we admit to ourselves that we have our own blind spots and move forward from here, then yeah, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. There's no problem in asking for help. Even if it's something that's okay, blatantly obvious, or something as simple as breathing fine or letting go of the things that's heavy for you, it's ultimately up to you. But if you're willing to journey with me, or if you're willing to journey with yourself, then let's move forward from here. Let's not get stuck to where we are currently. Let's live our lives beautifully. So, when do we deserve second chances? When do we accept? When can we get to where we need to go? When is it okay to ask for second chances then? For this, my fellow viewers, I need you to ask yourselves these questions. This can seem simple, but sometimes it's not as easy as you may think. All right, I'll give you a chance to breathe after trying to absorb that within yourself, and who knows, maybe you absorbed it yourself. You took a deep breath in and you just talk to yourself, ask yourself that, yeah, I needed this. I needed a second chance to forgive myself. I needed a second chance in life. I need a second chance to be better. All right. First question, my fellow viewers and my fellow change agents here who's watching with me, and to those who are watching on replay, ask yourself, when does the positives outweigh the negatives? When I say positives, this can be very subjective, but for the purposes of our discussion today, these can mean your successes, your accomplished goals, whether it be short term or long term goals, whether it be, let's say, your studies have finished or you've accomplished a test, or any of those things that are related of sorts. Well, or something as simple as, have I eaten yet? Have I had my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner? Have I had my medicine? Have I taken my medication? anything that can help you function as a human being, as a person. And when we say negatives, this can mean, well, it's again, it's subjective to you. What is negative for you? What is holding you back? What is something that's very not so positive in your life right now? Something that's keeping you down or something that's hurting you on the inside? Ask yourself, does my negatives outweigh the positives, or does my more of my positives outweigh the negatives? If you can answer that, the next question that you ask yourself is, when does the pain go away, and when will it allow you to move forward? When can, or essentially when can you let go of the thing that's hurting you and feel that light heartedness, that light feeling that you need in order to move forward? Because if the thing that's hurting you is dragging you down, it's harder for you to move forward, right? It's hard for you to have that sense of reality, to keep yourself grounded, to keep yourself running towards your goal. And if you can answer that question, my friends, a very important question to ask yourself next would be, how can you forgive yourself from an unforgivable act? When you've let go of the thing that you were supposed to let go, that initial guilt, that heavy feeling, then how can you forgive yourself for this? Yes, you were able to let go, but that guilt and that shame and that hurt and that anger that you felt, how does it help you, or how can you forgive yourself for that? If you can find that answer within yourself or within others, when you ask yourself, hey, I need advice, or I need you to ask yourself a question or a personal favor, you don't have to, if you trust this person well enough, you can ask them, how can I forgive myself if I did this? Your confidant or your life coach or someone who you who is your accountability partner or is someone that you really feel close to. Or you can ask it in a different way. How, if you frame it in such a way that, hey, I have a friend, or hey, I know someone who feels this way, and you describe what you feel based on, and you try to mix it together based on this person, this description of this person that you're trying to describe it to your close friend. Ask yourself, how this may be your blind spot, that you don't know how to forgive yourself, and that's okay. People help you with your blind spots because they can see your blind spots where you can't. And the last question, honestly, how can I make the hurt stop when I allow myself to, because I deserve it? Or essentially, when the pain stops or goes away, do I deserve it? Because I know I should. But do I? Is it something or is it something that you can move on from? Is it something that you can finally let go and live your life to the fullest? Is it really there? Is it freeing? Then yes. If all those things, again, if those positives outweigh those negatives, then yes, you deserve it. You deserve that feeling of redemption, freedom, of a second chance to live again, to try again. It's never too late. Never is. Even after years of hurt, maybe decades even, maybe you're in your older stages in your life and you're finally ready to forgive, then it's never too late, because we are only given so much limited time here on earth, that when it comes to our own end of the road, What can we say have we accomplished, have we let go of? And when we finally lay our final rest, was it all worth it? Again, this is a question only for you to answer. When asking for yourself for second chances, again, it's about you. And when do we get second chances? Well, it goes something like this: when we allow them to. So when we allow ourselves to ask, when we allow ourselves to give ourselves a second chance, when someone else accepts them. So if you've hurt someone, if you unintentionally called someone out, or they hurt you and you hurt them back, and when you allow yourself to, or when someone forgives you, then yes, it's okay. And when we accept wholeheartedly both, sometimes we forgive ourselves, and that's okay. And sometimes people don't, and that's okay. And we have to accept whichever comes our way. We have to accept wholeheartedly, fully, and 100% that it's okay to forgive ourselves. We can forgive ourselves. And if the person does, and if the other person does not, then it's okay. They haven't forgiven you, and that's fine. It's their life and not yours. You shouldn't be chained down to someone else. You shouldn't be chained down to someone's opinion of you because you live your own life. There are you both of you are two different people. Maybe some parts of you or most parts of you are the same, but are differences with you, how you live your life. And we have to accept that. We have to accept wholeheartedly that we are two different people. Both you and I are two different people. We live different lives. And we have to wholeheartedly accept that it's okay. A second chance begins with ourselves. And we must face ourselves first. We have to face our shadow. So, the first and very beginning of asking for second chances is ourselves. And I'd like to give you a formula for what a shadow is. When you face your shadow, because when you look at yourself in the mirror, or when you look at yourself directly, and when you talk to yourself, or when you have your inner dialogue, your own inner universe, sometimes you are healthy. You have a beautiful life ahead of you. You have a beautiful internal life as well. But when does our internal life become a shadow? And I'd like to give you a formula for that. Your shadow equals the consequences of what you've done, the consequences of your actions, plus your conscience, plus your guilt, that sense of guilt. Take a minute or take a few seconds to absorb this and try to apply that to anything that you had in the past, anything that's haunted you in the past, and you were able to overcome that. The consequences of your actions that spurn from that the conscience that you have, your inner self telling you, hey, there's something wrong, and that feeling of guilt, the reality, your intellect, and your emotions. Have any of these things resonated with you? And if all these three things come together, and when you are ready for it, you are ready to face your shadow. Or to put it blindly, or to put it bluntly, when you are ready to face your shadow, that's already a giant leap forward. because that's the key there. And the secret actually is when you're willing to face that shadow and you're willing to look at it square in the face and you're afraid. Yeah, you will be afraid of facing your own shadow. But the fact that you were able to be willing to move forward and allow yourself and look it square in the eyes and tell it that, or look at it directly and tell it that, all right, let's talk. All right, let's look at each other. All right, that's already a giant leap forward, my friends. That's already that's already a giant step already. You've already conquered the hardest part, that very first step. And after you've accomplished that, then you are ready to, that means that you're ready to have that second chance in whatever it is that you're having. For the events that's stopping us moving forward, well, what do we do now? And what's the best way to go about this? Well, after we face our shadows, after we face our own internal self, after everything that's happened, what now? What lessons can we achieve? Or what's stopping us from moving to where we need to go? Yeah, we may have learned everything, but where do we go from here? Or how do we move forward? And me as a coach to you, I'd like to share you my 4-step process, or or processes, or it's a work in progress, I guess, because all of us are works in progress. But if you're willing to journey with me, then I hope I can help you move forward. Number one, look back at the event. So, what was the pinpoint location that started it all? That started everything down, that went downhill? Where was that peak, that event that led you to where you are? That where you felt guilty, that you felt shame, that you felt angry at yourself, that you couldn't move forward. Where was that point in your life that's stopping you? When you look at that, number two, admit to yourself that you hold yourself accountable for it. Yes, there can be external actions, and that's already accountability in itself. You admit that there are certain actions that maybe you couldn't control yourself to, and maybe you were a passenger in this weird journey that you're in, or you're a passenger in the weird car crash that was in that certain scenario when you look back on it, that specific event, and still hold yourself accountable to it because it affected you. It was something that held you dearly, or that was heart wrenching. Third, forgive yourself. Well, it's good sometimes to let it go, to let go of the pain, to let go of the thing that's hurting you. But sometimes it's hard to do that. And I understand, and it's understandable because it's not easy. But forgiveness begins with the self. And as we discussed earlier, when you look at your shadow, you're already at that very first step to forgiving yourself. Let your shadow rest, my friends. Allow yourself to begin again. Allow yourself to take a step forward. Allow to do what your heart sings, and allow yourself to start. And lastly, ask forgiveness from external factors. Now, for the first three, we've mainly looked at internals, everything that happens on the inside of ourselves, everything that relates to us. But for us to move forward and try again, let's go for the external factors. It can be people, it can be an organization, it can be your an inanimate object. Like, for example, if your computer crashed, then you learn to say sorry because it just crashed. Something as simple as that. Or if you drank coffee and it was really hot or warm or too hot or a warm beverage you you allowed yourself to happen and it's okay because it was out of your control. But learning to learn from your actions from the outside, from the or to learn the lessons that you experienced and you allow yourself to let it move forward allows you to have a second chance to move forward. So those are the four steps, my fellow viewer. You have to look back to the event that's happened, admit to yourself that it wasn't easy or it was difficult, but you have to admit to where you are and learn to forgive yourself and ask external forgiveness. By the way, for admittance, I've dedicated an episode for that in episode 2 if you can roll back to that. But again, you don't have to if if you don't have the time for that. But if you are very curious, you can go back to episode 2, forgiveness. At the very end of the day, you deserve a second chance. You deserve a second chance to grow, to live, and to begin your journey again. And that is a beautiful thing to think about, right? To allow yourself to begin again. And I thank you for journeying with me for this episode. And everything is possible because I know you can. Because I know that deep within ourselves there is that person who's hurting right now and is asking for help. And when you give that person that help that they deserve, in which case is you internally, and in turn when you do that for yourself you can do that for others, then isn't that life itself? Isn't that a second chance to start anew? So it's a beautiful journey to begin again, and I thank you for that. As we end today's episode, let me invite you to visit our coaching hub at D Cup Coffee Republic, located at the Pioneer Road, corner Brixton and United Streets, Capitolio, Pasig City. Just Center. So if you know where the hub is, then just cross there. Our coaching hub is open physically from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Capitolio, Pasig City, just cross by. Let me repeat that. Our coaching hub is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. physically, but virtual operations is 24/7, and we offer coaching services on demand any time of the day and any day of the week. Please connect with Coach Roselle through 0917-586-1661 for your coaching needs. My name is Coach Tony, and thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to see you again, my fellow viewer, next week at the same day, at the same time. Love, bum, boom.